You know, in any high-stakes environment, whether it's a tiny startup or a huge company, there's this invisible force that either holds everything together or just lets it crumble from the inside out. Today, we're going to decode the blueprint for that exact structure. Let's dive in and really explore the architecture of trust.
So what is it? What's the real secret sauce, The thing that separates a team that's constantly knocking it out of the park from one that's, well, just getting by. Just think about your own experience for a second. What's the one thing that you've seen make the absolute biggest difference?
Okay, so is it the tech, having the latest and greatest software, the fastest hardware? I mean, sure, that helps, but nope, that's not it.
All right, then what about money? A giant budget, just being able to throw cash at any problem that comes up? Yeah, that can definitely hide a lot of problems for sure, but it's not the real advantage.
And it's not about having some perfectly designed org chart either. A rigid hierarchy? That doesn't guarantee a thing. Actually, sometimes it does the exact opposite. So, if it's not the tech, not the money, and not the structure, what's left?
It's trust. Simple as that. It's this incredibly powerful force that shapes how people talk to each other, how they share ideas, how they create things together. This is the absolute bedrock of high performance.
So if trust is the bedrock, then a lack of it, that's the invisible performance killer. It's like this silent poison that just drains all the energy out of a room, kills good ideas, and grinds everything to a halt, sometimes before you even realize what's going on.
And this is where you gotta reframe how you think about trust. It's not some fluffy, soft skill you can just ignore. No way. It is a strategic superpower. See, when trust is high, people feel safe enough to share that wild idea, or to take a smart risk, or even just to raise their hand and say, hey, I messed up. And that feeling of safety, that's the fuel for everything. Innovation, engagement, and maybe, most importantly, speed.
Which brings us right to the core idea behind all of this. There's actually a formal name for this kind of high-trust environment. It's called psychological safety, and it's the foundation that everything else we're talking about is built on.
The term comes from Harvard's Amy Edmondson. And psychological safety is basically this. It's a shared belief that the team is safe for taking risks with each other. And let's be clear, this is not about just being nice. It's about feeling secure enough to be a little vulnerable, To ask a dumb question, to admit you don't have the answer, or to challenge the way things are done without worrying you're going to get shot down or embarrassed.
And you can really see the difference when you put them side by side. On one hand, you've got the low trust culture. That's a world run by fear. What do you get? Silence. Blame games. Everyone just protecting their own turf. Your authority comes from your job title. But then you look at the high trust culture. It's a whole different world. You've got open communication, people are focused on learning, and mistakes, they're just data. And the best idea wins, period. Doesn't matter who it came from.
Okay, so this all sounds good, right? It makes sense. But you might be thinking, is there any hard data to back this up? Well, let's get into it. Let's look at how one of the biggest companies in the world actually proved this stuff out.
So Google did this huge internal study. They called it Project Aristotle. And they looked at more than 180 of their own teams. I mean, they analyzed everything. People's skills, how long they'd been there, how smart they were, what resources they had. They were basically on a mission to find the secret recipe for a perfect team. And after all that work, after digging through mountains of data, what they found was kind of shocking. It wasn't some complex mix of 20 different things. It wasn't a fancy algorithm. There was one single factor that stood out, head and shoulders above all the others.
And that one thing? Psychological safety. It was the single biggest predictor of a team's performance. And what's so fascinating is why. Think about it. Things like IQ, individual skills, those are things one person has. But psychological safety, that's a property of the group. It's like the team's operating system. It's what allows all those brilliant people to actually plug their talents together and create something amazing. The takeaway couldn't be clearer. Teams where people felt safe with each other just flat out performed better.
Okay, so the evidence is pretty solid. The big question then becomes, how do you actually build this stuff? It doesn't just happen by magic. So let's get practical and look at the actual day-to-day things you can do to lay that foundation of trust.
Look, it really has to start at the top with leadership. When a leader admits they made a mistake, that sends a powerful signal that it's okay to be vulnerable. When they actively go out and ask for people's opinions, they're showing that every voice is valued. And they have to reward the person who speaks up with a difficult truth, not the one who just stays quiet to be safe. We're not talking about posters on a wall here. We're talking about real, consistent behaviors that everyone can see. So how can we make this even more practical? Something you can use every single day. Well, there's a really simple but powerful framework for this. It's called the ICE framework, and it's basically a tool to help you build trust in every single conversation.
Here's how it works. I is for inclusion. That means you're intentionally making sure every voice gets heard. C is for curiosity. So instead of judging, you ask questions. You come in wanting to learn something. And E is for empathy. That's all about really trying to understand where someone is coming from before you decide what you think about it. Inclusion, curiosity, empathy. It sounds simple, right? But it's not always easy to do.
All right, so let's say you start doing these things. You start building that trust. How do you protect it? How do you make sure it sticks around and becomes a real, lasting advantage for your whole team or company?
Well, the first step is knowing what can absolutely wreck it. You've probably heard the saying, trust is earned in drips and lost in buckets. It's so true. Things like micromanaging, holding back information, calling someone out in front of everyone, or leaders whose actions don't match their words, these are absolute trust killers. They can wipe out months of hard work in an instant.
And this really brings us to the most important point of all. At the end of the day, you can have all the mission statements and company policies you want, but trust isn't built into PDF. It's built in those small moments between people. It's built in how you react when someone messes up, how you actually listen in a meeting, and how you show up when things get really tough.
Ultimately, trust is a choice, and it's a choice that gets reinforced with every single thing we do. It really is the architecture of great performance, of true innovation, and of being able to bounce back from anything. So the only real question left to ask is, knowing all of this, how are you going to behave differently tomorrow?